I met a gypsy.
Look at what you said when you did the boot camp, when you're doing 2-a-days. And they've been doing that for 12 years. And that's all they know. See, I like where you went deep with this, because it's easy to sit out and be judge and jury, but let's just be blunt. A lot of these guys are not educated.
No.
Sometimes don't even make it to high school because the sport requires it. Now you're talking about the demons. You're talking about the fears, the doubts. You're waking up and your entire body aches. And like you said, sometimes you just don't want to do it.
And you've probably got to have crazy demons to even want to do that in the first place, to even get you on that bike.
But if you've quote unquote been forced doing that since you were literally 7, 8 years old, that's all you know. Then the fear of failure, you're going to let your parents down. There's all this and I'm not wham. We're all responsible. But I disagree at some level when you're starting at 6 and 7, and then your parents made a decision to pull you out of school. Now you're uneducated. You're a fast athlete. I don't care if you're a cyclist, motocross, triathlete, whatever. Where are you going to go with that? You're talking about the fear of failure? I mean, fear of failure means I'm going back and what am I going to do? Go into the real world? I always love that term, real world. Yeah. These folks are living in the real world. They're just living in the most difficult
real world.
If you ever watch Lance, even in his current podcast, he's very clear. He hates the cold and he hates the snow. And if you look at some of those old videos, those training videos he did with him and Johan, they're out there in the Swiss Alps and it's freaking snowing.
Yeah.
And my point is he's out there doing what he doesn't want to do, but that's all I'm not going to say it's all he knows to do because he's actually a smart guy, but it doesn't matter what sport you're in. Those fears, the doubts, like you say, take EPO and I don't feel quite as fatigued. Hey, take some HGH and I recover quicker. Well, when I've been sitting on my bike, as you say, for 8-9 hours and I'm at day 13 of a brand new boot camp and I just feel like I can't even brush my teeth. I'm so tired and sore. Those become a legitimate enticement.
Yeah.
I can feel a little bit better and put up with this.
Or just knowing that, like, no matter how hard you work, if you don't take this shit, and the guy that's working as hard as you
or less,
does take it,
or less,
or not as hard,
that's it.
Does take, and you're gonna get waxed.
Yes,
it's like what choice do you have?
You don't
at that level.
You don't,
and it's like you just can't spend that much time. And even again, like I'm not some special dude, but like I train basically 6 days a week.
Yep.
I dislocated my elbow on Tuesday, and I trained yesterday. And I shouldn't have done that. Right. I got home and I was like, why the fuck did you do that? Like, sure. I literally walked straight in the door, went for my ice pack, and I strapped it up to my elbow. My elbow still hurts now.
Yep.
And I'm going to train tomorrow.
Yep.
There's some weird shit that goes on in your head. Like, there is this mental thing that happens when you do get into this routine and something becomes like a part of you. It's a weird thing to explain, but it's like, I would always rag on CrossFit. I'd be like, these people are in a fucking cult. Yeah. They're so weird. I'd always talk shit on CrossFit. And now I get it. Because what I do is a cult in ways, like where a group of people that get together every single day and we just do like pretty weird shit that like doesn't make sense to the average person. Right. But there is clarity in that for me. There is something in that for me. Like there's meaning in it. There's purpose. And you'll do things to your body that they don't make sense. It's not smart for me to go back and train like that. I've had a problem with my foot for months, and I've been to one physio session. He said to get an X-ray, and I was like, nah, I'm not doing the X-ray thing, because then you're like, well, now if something's wrong with it, like you can block that out. And I'm on this tiny, tiny, tiny level of sport. Like, I'm living life. It's real
life.
But you then extrapolate that out to like a Lance Armstrong or those guys that died from the EPO. Yep. So like if I'm experiencing it in this micro scale at that tiny level that I am, imagine what a Ryan Dungey's doing. Imagine what a Lance Armstrong's doing. Imagine the headspace that those guys have to get into if they're that much ahead of where I'm at, and I'm doing that shit to myself.
Well, that's where it's interesting, and that's why I appreciate being with you. That's my job. I'm that middle guy that says, okay, here's where you want to go. We've quantified it. We know it's important to you. Here's the process that's going to get us there. And I have to be the referee in the middle that says, you blew your elbow out. You took a huge hit to your elbow's all the way 40 degrees to the side. I need to rationally bring you through that. What ends up happening is I call it the little chirping bird on your shoulder. Oh, if you don't do this today, you're going to get fat. Oh, or you're going to lose your fitness. You're going to lose your edge. You're going to lose whatever that criteria is. If it's a triathlete, it could be your swim skills. It could be your biomechanics, whatever. that fear base, that's why I always work with my athletes. We always work in a proactive manner. We're doing this. This is a building block towards what? Every day is a micro workout that fits a week.
It's like that 1% better kind of thing.
That's my mantra. Be 1% better every day. Could be being properly hydrated, more calories, whatever it is. This what brings the conversation full circle. If I come in and I say, look, Jace, I know you want to train, and we know that we want to hit this deadline, say it's an event or whatever, but going out and blowing your elbow out even worse is going to then prolong how quickly you can come back. That's where I have to come in and be the rationale in your head to go,
and you got to
okay,
be the bad guy.
Well, I can either be the bad guy, or I could be, the old joke, hero or zero, because if I can, this is what I always say, you've got to look back before we can look forward. You come back to me and you're like, Rob, I got blown out in the elbow. I'm like, right, Jace, we've never done this before because we've only been working together a year, but this is how we're going to handle that injury. And I get you out of it in 10 days instead of 21. The next time you get hurt, you'll have a little more confidence because you can look back at that success. But that's where I have to earn everyone's trust. Because when I say it going in, it's a concept and a theory. Until you endure it, then you trust the process and the system. Then the next time, say that you got a virus right before your fight. Well, I'm going to give you some things to do to get out of it. And yeah, it stunk. The timing was bad, but we go out and we win the fight, even though we overcame the virus. Well, the next time you get a virus, you become less and less fearful because you've got the success. And that's why I always say my program is called the Blueprint of Success. When I win a championship with somebody, the number one fear they have is, well, how do I keep sustaining this? It goes back to what you said earlier. Well, if you know what we did to get here, we know what we can do to continue to build on it. Your success, your continuum of improvement will never stop. But that's where you start getting the little man friends that start telling you you're doing things wrong. Are we on a trajectory to go up, or do we want to kind of do this where eventually I'm looking for a lifetime of it? Is a particular professional motocrosser going to be able to do it for 30 years? No, neither one of us are naive to realize that. But the idea that after that career is over, well, let's just describe career. Was that career 3 years or 13 years? I mean, we got Chad out there that has been through Ricky and James.
He's 105 this year.
Right. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And, here he is banging bars now with, you fill in the blank, if you want to call Jason the new thing or Roxon the new, but this is the same guy that was battling with James and Ricky and, goes all the way out to.
It's, what's crazy? I watched speaking on Chad.
Yeah.
I was watching a podcast with Mathers. And he was on there, and Vullerman was on there, and Tim Ferry, and it was when they were doing like a bit of Yamaha reunion kind of thing, I guess. And like you look at Vullerman now, that ain't no athlete.
No.
And you look at Chad, and it's like you can see the age on Vullerman, and you can see how out of shape he is, and you can see not talking shit.
I understand.
But
it is what it is.
This dude's still an athlete that's doing 20 lap main events at the highest level, got 9th on the weekend.
Yeah.
And then there's David Vullerman, and it's like. That's not like some special thing Chad's got. Like that's this maintaining workload that has just kept him in that kind of shape. And it's like it's really easy to see like what the alternative is.
Absolutely.
Is the alternative like those two were like David Vullerman's peak was Chad Reed winning in 2004. Like that was Vullerman's peak. Yep. So then it's like you see that those two dudes, they existed in the same thing, but you fast forward 14 years,
he's still out there,
and it's like that dude's out there, that dude's not. Like it's crazy.
And it's funny you say that because I get a bad rap because I'm looking at somebody like a Chad. Chad's made money year after year after year. Maybe not as much as when he was even at Yamaha of Troy. Those were the heydays for him.
Yeah.
And then obviously doing the first Yamaha gig. But when you really boil it down, that's what I try to preach to these young athletes: is you got to be in it to win it. You got to be in it for a long period of time, and you've got to have balance and fun. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to be mischievous and we're going to not respect that we have a career and a job racing our dirt bikes, but that's the thing I want people to understand. And it's funny to me, I've been very fortunate. I mean, AC as an amateur, Germ as an amateur, as we were saying earlier, and yet they've gone to programs where they've gotten completely roached, and it's public record. I mean, they went to, and I'm going to say this as respectfully as I can. You have athlete A that goes to trainer B. That trainer blows this rider up. He moves on to somebody else, and then somebody comes right back into that trainer. Now, I don't know if we're just sadistic by nature. I don't know if we're looking for, my personal opinion is we're looking for built-in excuses.
We're excited to announce the launch of our new membership site, gypsytales.com, packed with exclusive content and perks that you won't find anywhere else. This is your chance to become a part of the Gypsy Gang. And as a special bonus, if you sign up to an annual membership, you'll be entered into the draw to win our custom-built TC125. Gypsy Gang.